Last week, the United Nations top human rights official called Burma's ongoing military campaign against the Rohingya Muslim minority group in the country's Rakhine state a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. This is what he meant, using a pretense of rooting out Islamist insurgents. Burma's military, together with Buddhist villagers, is terrorizing the Rohingya, emptying and razing their villages, and attempting to hound them out of the country. Of a total of 1.1 million Rohingya that remained in Burma despite repeated waves of violence since the late 1970s, more than 400,000 have fled to neighboring Bangladesh in just the past month. New arrivals are building makeshift settlements near established camps where hundreds of thousands of Rohingya refugees from previous exoduses already live. Most are women, children and the elderly. Conditions are dire. Food is scarce. Aid agencies are worn thin. The monsoon rain is torrential. The human catastrophe has captured the world's attention. But it has also caused a lot of confusion. Didn't Burma just undergo a democratic transition? Isn't it led by Nobel Peace Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi? Why are Buddhists perpetrating an ethnic cleansing against Muslims? The mass exodus of the Rohingya from Burma has underpinnings in events that took place centuries ago, as well as in events that took place weeks ago. The coast of what is now Burma's Rakhine state was the center of what was once called the Kingdom of Arakan. The name Arakan has since been morphed into Rakhine and Rohingya over the years to describe both the indigenous and Muslim populations of the region. Muslims lived in Arakan both as traders and as slaves captured by the king's army from nearby Bengal. Over time, they developed a unique language that is not mutually intelligible with Bengali. Rakhine Buddhist and Muslim populations had been interacting for centuries by the time the Bamar, a larger ethnic group from the inland, took control of the coast in 1785. The Bamar give their name to Burma, the modern country also known as Myanmar. Rohingya refugees walked toward Naf mainland after coming from the island of Shapur Dwip. Ismail Ferdas for the Washington Post. Within 40 years, the British had usurped the Bamar and ruled the Arakan coast as part of a vast colony stretching from there to the Hindu Kush. Muslims from Bengal began to move to the Arakan coast in even greater numbers during this period, in search of work in the colonial economy, in many cases supplanting Arakanese labor and stirring local resentment. The perception of the Rohingya as outsiders and illegal immigrants grew during this period and was only exacerbated when the British armed local Muslims during World War II to fight the Arakanese, who largely sided with the Japanese. After past spasms of violence, many Rohingya would return and resettle. This time around, the Burmese government has warned that only Rohingya with verifiable ties to Burma will be allowed back. The systematic disenfranchisement of the Rohingya makes it unlikely most will meet that criteria. The Rohingya are intensely unpopular in Burma. The state's official stance is that the Rohingya ethnic group doesn't exist. Instead, they are referred to as Bengali, a rhetorical linkage to a foreign land that many have never stepped foot in, despite sharing cultural similarities. Burma doesn't recognize the Rohingya as citizens, rendering them stateless and limiting their access to public services. Last week, the Burmese military's commander-in-chief, Aung Hlaing, wrote this in a Facebook post: "They have demanded recognition as Rohingya, which has never been an ethnic group in Myanmar. Bengali issue is a national cause and we need to be united in establishing the truth." Hlaing has visited Japan, Germany, Austria, Belgium, Italy, India and Thailand in recent years. In Germany this summer, he was received with full military honors. The state has found further justification for an anti-Rohingya campaign in recent attacks on police and army posts by the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, a ragtag militia with ties to Saudi and Pakistani money that claims to be the Rohingyas' defenders. Analysts say there may be as few as 1,500 fighters in their ranks. ARSA, as the group is known, declared a unilateral ceasefire this September to little effect. The government and military categorically rejected negotiating with terrorists. Suu Kyi cancelled her trip to the UN General Assembly and is instead set to address the Burmese nation Tuesday. But, ultimately, how much power does Suu Kyi have? When Burma's military junta agreed to democratic concessions starting in 2011, the world lauded Suu Kyi for her years of dedication to the cause. President Barack Obama and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton visited Burma and embraced her. The United States and others lifted most sanctions. Suu Kyi won resoundingly in free elections. But Burma's constitution remains written in a way the